Welcome back. Now, the Public Investment Corporation Commission of Inquiry heard about more questionable transactions that the fund manager invested in. Focus this week was on the SA Home Loans transaction, where allegations of extortion were made against PIC employees. Now, the commission also heard of an investment in a West African bank that the PIC had allegedly acknowledged should not have been invested in, but continued to put in more money into that bank.
SA Home Loans CEO Kevin Penwarden confirmed the company was the originator of the transaction and not Bolacha Hloro Consortium led by Kolofelo Maponya, as the commission had previously had. He says when JP Morgan disposed of their 50% shareholding, GEPF was approached through the PIC, which later brought on board the BEE Consortium. The PIC funded the consortium's 25% acquisition of the shares and promised to support its obligations to SA Home Loans going forward. After the PIC loaned 9 billion rand to SA Home Loans aimed at issuing home loans to government employees, Maponya demanded that he be paid 45 million rand origination fees. Penwarden says this did not make any sense, as their original presentation to PIC included a proposal to fund government employees' home loans. The PIC attempted to change the already signed contract with SA Home Loans to enable the payment to Maponya. It also tried to give up a 45 million rand payment that was due to GEPF so it be paid to Maponya, but withdrew this suggestion when it was flagged as irregular. Later, when SA Home Loans went back to PIC for a further 10 billion rand loan, they were told to pay a 95 million rand to Maponya, made out of the 45 million rand they earlier refused to pay and the 50 million rand as a percentage of the 10 billion rand loan they requested. Penwarden says the former PIC CEO, Dr. Dan Machila, denied knowledge of these claims by Maponya that he was owed transaction fees. He says SA Home Loans has reported the matter to the Hawks.
What has just been read out is very much at odds with what Dr. Dan told me when I met up with him in July 2018, and he was clear and unambiguous. He said there was no contract between the PIC and Mr. Maponya stroke MMI, and that no services had been rendered. So I'm interested to hear that, because he signed that document as well, and that is very much 180-degree opposite what he told me.
Former CFO of EcoBank's Card and Electronic Banking Division, Altu Sadi, also appeared before the commission, telling of a bank beset with corporate governance scandals and a culture of victimizing employees that point out wrongdoing. The PIC invested $250 million in the bank. It further loaned the bank $98 million and issued a convertible bond worth $250 million to the bank. He says this is despite former CEO Dr. Dan Machila admitting in court that the PIC should never have invested in the bank.
Daniel Machila acknowledged in a court case against the previous CEO that he should never invested in EcoBank, but then still invested 2 more times. It also seems that the CEO tried to improve the governance problems, as evidenced by an Ernst & Young audit report. EcoBank has a history of dismissing staff for exposing wrongdoing.
The JSE also appeared before the commission, saying it has called on IO Technology and its executives to account for the testimony of misrepresentation and corporate governance failures presented at the commission.
Those individuals were directors at the time of IO Technologies. So we have had direct engagement with Mr. Khalid Abdullah, Ms. Nahid Khamildin, and Mr. Abdul Malik Salih, in which we've asked them to specifically explain and respond to the allegations that have been made regarding adjusting, massaging, can't remember the exact term, the numbers of IO Technology.
The PIC has meanwhile issued summons to IO Technology in a bid to recoup the 4.3 billion rand that it invested in the company. The fund manager says its claims are based on the misrepresentation by IO when the transaction was concluded. Zora Sefako Mosi, SABC News, Johannesburg.